All righty. So hi, everybody. It's Mary Beth with sacredgrove.com, and I'm so excited to interview Cheryl Pokorny of, and I'm going to say this slowly, Little Longears Miniature Donkey Rescue. Yeah.
Yes.
And she and Valerie have started a rescue and sanctuary for little miniature donkeys. And if you haven't met one, it's your loss. They are like great big dogs. If they know you and love you, they're just wonderful beings. But let me tell you a little bit about Little Longears, and I'm going to read it so I get it right. Little Longears is a registered nonprofit charity dedicated to the rescue, rehabilitation, and safe sanctuary of abused, neglected, or otherwise unwanted donkeys. They also provide a safe haven for owners to surrender their donkeys in the event they are no longer able to care for them. After veterinary, farrier, psychological, and training needs are met, their goal is to place adoptable donkeys into permanent loving homes as appropriate, or to provide permanent sanctuary as needed. And I've met a number of their donkeys because my friend Mary has a little crew, as she calls them.
Mm-hmm.
And also I've been over at your place when you were still in Maryland, Cheryl. Yeah. So thank you for being here. I'm so happy that
Thanks
we're doing this. Tell me about how you and Valerie got started. Because when I look at your background, none of it says I have a background in donkey rescue.
No, actually, we got into this without any donkey background. I was a high school teacher for many, many years, and with public schools. And Valerie had been a professional trainer, horse trainer, for her whole career, and was in the horse show world, traveling all over the country. And when we met, and we bought a small horse farm in Maryland, a 15-acre farm, and retired some of her show horses there. I thought it would be fun to get, I don't know why, a couple little miniature donkeys just kind of popped in my head. And I said, hey, we had all this space and a beautiful barn. And I said, let's get a couple little donkeys to keep the horses company. She said, okay. So we went out searching for little donkeys and found a couple on Craigslist. And back then Craigslist was pretty popular. So I just started searching, and we found two of them. And the woman that we bought them from, we ultimately did buy those two. She had gotten them from an auction. And she was kind of in the rescue world, unofficially, just, did her own small little thing. And she just kind of told us about the plight of donkeys and how much she sees them in the auction houses and not cared for, and, the whole story. And so we got educated about it, learned more. And in the meantime, we had Nestor and Sassafras as pets. And then we just started researching more about donkeys and the differences with horses, between donkeys and horses. And then the need for donkey rescue, especially in this part of the country. We were a little
bit about that. Because I'm not, I'm a suburban person, dogs and cats, birds.
Right.
Out my limit. A couple other pets for the kids. But when you say auction, donkey auction, what's that all about?
Well, the auctions, there's a huge network of auctions all over this country for livestock auctions. Mostly horses. Well, the ones that we've been to anyway have been mostly horses. And then you'll have some mules and some donkeys. It's mostly for horses and donkeys that are slaughter bound. They are sent down to Mexico or to Canada because you can't slaughter in this country. So they ship them either to Canada or Mexico and slaughter them for meat or in donkeys' cases, it's for, well, for the meat, but also for their hides, which unfortunately has become a huge, huge worldwide problem with donkeys. There's a whole, traditional Chinese medicine thing happening now in China where they're basically decimating the donkey population for
I
their
read about that.
yeah, well, it's huge, and it's really sad, and but that's another whole topic.
Right, thank you for touching on it though, but
Sure.
I always want people to think globally. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about acting
I
local,
mean,
but
right now, donkeys in this country, of course, are just pets. Pretty much, they're just pets. They're like big dogs, and super loving and social and friendly and all of that. But in other countries, they're still working animals. They're very, very needed in these third world countries as working animals. And over there, what's happening is that as the donkey hide trade has gotten bigger and bigger, those working animals are being stolen from the family farms and taken to be slaughtered for their hides. So it's really become quite an issue in these other countries.
there's some good organizations out there that are pointing that out.
There are, yes. The Brook is doing wonderful work over in Africa. If you've heard of them, the Brook.
No, the Brook. I'm gonna
the
look
Brook.
that up.
Yeah, look them up. They do wonderful work.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I didn't mean to get off topic, but anyway, we just got our
for what we do,
Yeah.
for what I care
Yeah.
about, this is right on
Yeah.
topic. But before we go any farther, I know we talked about this before we started, but tell us about what happened here.
Oh, well,
nobody sits around wondering the whole thing. Wondering
why I have this
what was that?
lovely mark. Well, Val and I went on a donkey rescue about 10 or 11 days ago now, down in Virginia. We're in Pennsylvania now. But we went to rescue these 3 donkeys that were living out with cows, not cared for at all, just left as guardians, which is another topic that we don't like, the whole guardian issue. But so these were 3 owner surrenders, and they'd been on our waiting list to join the rescue for at least a year, I'd say, before we got moved and settled to this newer place, to our bigger farm here in Pennsylvania. So when we went down there and met the donkeys and did our whole loading the way we always load donkeys, we have a whole system to loose load them and to try to make it as pleasant of an experience as possible for them, without pressuring them or hurting them in any way, and being very gentle and everything. Well, we ran into some issues with that, and I got attacked, and by 2 donkeys, who we later found out they had been very badly abused and hog-tied and very manhandled and tackled to the ground and stuff in their past. And I think when I gently reached for their foot to try to encourage them into the trailer, one lashed out and bit my bit my arm. I've gotten my stitches out and everything, but I definitely got
You got it.
oh yeah, I got really badly attacked. And then anyway, so this was another donkey that was so anyway,
that dog. Yeah, I
it's
met
a long
the
story,
donkeys,
but
and they're good. They're good individuals, but when you do stuff to
it was really, of course, painful and stuff, but it was really sad just seeing how terrified these donkeys were and how it triggered my touching their leg, just triggered them so much of the traumatic events they've had in their past. And I don't blame the donkey at all. I really blame the treatment that they have been shown in their past. And it just breaks my heart that that's how they've been treated, and that's how they think of humans. So,
Yeah, thank you for that. I thank you for being so honest about it, because we all
well,
know
well, I
that we
certainly
need to
don't.
work better. We need to be nicer to all beings
Yeah.
on the planet.
Yeah. And there's so many myths about donkeys that they're mean and they bite and they kick and they're stubborn. And it's so opposite of what donkeys are. All of those myths are so far from the truth that I hate to even like tell of a donkey bite, because I don't want people to say, see, those donkeys are mean. They bite. That's what I've heard. Because that's not true. This is such a rare, unusual case. We've been doing this for years and I've never been bit, never been close to being bit. I mean, it was just a really unfortunate thing. So
Well, when you're fearing what you just told me they went through,
yes.
I can imagine that anyone would fight back if that's what they thought was, if I thought that
Right.
was
I
gonna
think it was
happen.
definite trigger. Like they have
Yeah,
PTSD. Those
yeah,
donkeys do. And it triggers. And donkeys have tremendous memories. They don't forget anything. So if they've been treated badly, they're going to remember that. If
gonna
they've been
remember
treated
that.
lovingly, they're going to remember that.
Uh,
So
How lucky they are to get a second chance with you all. I'm so glad.
yeah.
Keep doing. Yeah, we'll take, still, it's better with you than,
Oh.
all that. Thank you.
Mhm.
So tell me who else is on your farm? I know it's not just donkeys. So who
Oh
else
no,
is
we have well, obviously lots of donkeys, and we have quite a few mules now, which of
Yeah,
course is a donkey horse cross.
okay.
And we do have some little miniature horses
Oh, right.
as well. We've taken in a few miniature horses that kind of came in with some donkeys, so it was like a mixed herd. And when there's a need for, we just couldn't turn down the little miniature horses just because their ears were short, so we weren't going to discriminate. So yeah. Oh, and we do have one zonkey now. That's a zebra donkey hybrid.
Wow.
Yeah, so someone definitely got in over their head with her. And zebras are not domesticated.
No.
So they didn't realize that they even had a zonkey and couldn't do anything with her. And she was jumping the fences and, way just, unhandleable. So we have her, and she's decompressing now. and having friends and enjoying her mule friends and horse friends and even donkey friends. So
I love it. I
yeah.
love it. This is so cool. Are there any other, so we talked about the donkey auctions.
Mhm.
Are there other ways that donkeys come to you?
Oh yeah, the vast majority come as owner surrenders. I would say.
Okay.
It used to be auctions when we first started, but as more and more people, sorry, I'm decided to move outside. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
As more and more people started hearing about us, we were getting more calls from folks that could no longer care for their animals, either because of medical reasons, mostly medical reasons. We got a lot of older folks that can no longer care for them physically,
Right.
financially, emotionally, whatever the case, or they can't handle the animals behaviorally because they just don't have that skill set.
Got it.
Kind of ended up with a critter they didn't know what to do with. So the word has gotten out, and it really gives people a safety net on what to do with their animals, especially at the end of their own life, which has been a huge comfort for so many people.
Oh, how nice.
because they, had their animal for years and didn't know what to do, and no one else in their family wanted the animals, and they're dying and kind of are at a last straw. They don't know what to do, and they don't want to send them to an auction because they love their animal. But it's not like you can just call up the Humane Society and say, "Hey, will you take my donkey?" Because there's not really a resource for that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we've kind of provided a little soft landing for a lot of animals that way.
What a
And
gift to both the humans and the donkeys. Thank you.
yeah,
Honestly, because anybody who brings those of us who bring animals into our lives and that we love them like family, yeah, we want the whole life.
right. It's for their
Right?
lifetime, and donkeys can live easily into their 40s. So
Wow.
it's a long-term commitment, and sometimes people don't realize how long they're going to live, and they end up outliving their people.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you because I was really happy to see that logo about the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries, that you are accredited.
yes, it's
And I gotta say, I gotta get on my soapbox for a little second. I am so wary now of just handing money out to anybody or visiting a roadside zoo. I've
right.
done my research, and I don't want to give money to people who are holding animals. I'm going to say the word captive so they can make money off of them. And they're not, if the animal's welfare ain't number one. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so to say that you're accredited and just makes it like,
yeah.
you
We're
did a lot
very
of work for this,
oh
right?
my God. Well, I didn't do hardly any. Val did it all.
Okay.
Give
Thank you,
her all the
Val.
credit. Val was like really worked so hard. And it was a huge milestone in our rescue's growth. It's a global accrediting body. It's not even just national, it's a global. And they do all different types of animals. It's not just a donkey thing. It's all types of beings. And we're just really proud to be a part of that. I don't want to say elite, but it's definitely a higher level of standard, a standard of care, standard of knowledge, standard of just how your whole organization operates. And they really help you look at the long-term picture and setting plans and goals, and what happens if something were to happen to us. I mean, how would our animals that are under our care right now, how would they be if anything happened, any kind of disaster, a natural disaster, or something happened to us personally? How are they going to be safe?
Yeah.
and well cared for? So we're really very honored to be a part of that now.
I'm so glad that you've done that.
Yeah.
And in working with a little bit of the time that I've spent with you, what came across first was your commitment to never hurting or forcing animals, and letting them, these beautiful beings, and letting them, as you say, decompress on their own time. That they're in a totally different atmosphere now, where, and I just love that. And just where they have choices, and they can move at their own. They can progress at their own.
Right. We don't set an agenda for anybody here. Nobody. We're not in a rush with anybody. If someone takes a month to let us touch them, or love on them, or 10 years, that's up to them. We will do what we can to help them feel comfortable and safe and loved. But there's no like time frame. So we joke that we have the slogan that everything's on donkey time. So on donkey time, and it's so true. Donkey time is very different than human time. Mule
I
time
love
is
it.
even more different. But they're slow, very thoughtful, cautious beings. They think things through very carefully, and aren't going to be pressured into doing anything they don't feel is safe. That's why donkeys are perceived as stubborn, because if humans are trying to make them do something faster than they're ready to do, that scares them, and then they shut down, and they'll actually like plant their 4 little feet, and you can't move them. And there's no point in trying. All it does is make them withdraw even more. So just take a deep breath, let them kind of move at their own pace, show them what you want. When they feel safe, they move on. They
Yeah.
So yeah, decompression, that's definitely a word we use around here a lot.
I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you for talking more about that.
Sure.
We as human beings could probably learn a lot from watching how
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and just let's see, quickly, tell me, I got a couple of things. How is the move to Pennsylvania, and how can people support you?
Well, the move has been fantastic in so many aspects. I mean, we moved from a 15-acre farm. Now we have 100 acres of magical sanctuary here. We have space to grow into, as the rescue continues to grow. It's already grown larger than we ever thought. And this space here provides us with many, many, many years of future growth, to help as many as we can, and to help as many as we can well. We don't want to just take in animals just to throw them in a pasture and not care for them beautifully. We have a very high level of care that we have set for ourselves, and our standards are very high, and we will only take in what we can properly care for at a very high level. So sometimes rescues, and people have beautiful hearts and start with the best intention, but sometimes they take on more than they can properly care for, and it turns into where a rescue needs to be rescued.
I've heard about that.
And that's, unfortunately, we've been a part of that. I mean, we have had to rescue other rescues, and they may have started well, but then the animals didn't end up so well off. And we certainly never want to be anything like that. We want to stay transparent with our donors, and keep our standards and practices at the highest level that really looks after the well-being of these animals. They've been through so much when they come to us. We want them to know that they are safe and loved and going to be cared for the rest of their days, whether they stay here in Sanctuary forever or if they get adopted into a loving home. We want them to know that home we have really fully vetted, and know it's going to be a tremendous place, or they don't go. So
I love it.
yeah. So and then you asked about ways to help
Ways
us.
to support you.
Yeah. So the best way obviously is financially. Just monetary donations help us the most. That we have our vendors lined up for hay and straw and things like that, and grain. We know how to get the best prices and things like that. So just financially, to pay for the vet and pay for the farrier. Some people
I'm a monthly
Yes.
person, because
Yes,
I just want you guys to keep doing what you do.
Yeah. Well, we're very passionate about it, that's for sure. But we absolutely could not do it without donors like yourself. And monthly donors really help us the most, because then that we can count on that money every month. You know, I mean, a one-time donation is great, don't get me wrong, but a monthly donor, that helps us to be able to budget, you know, for, okay, we know we can count on this, you know, each month, and that'll help buy us so many bales of hay this month, or pay for so many farrier visits. I mean, our farrier is here every week. You know, he has a standing appointment to keep these guys trimmed well. So financially donating, we need volunteers. You know, now that we're up here in New Oxford, Pennsylvania, which is not far from Gettysburg and not far from Hanover.
Okay.
So those are probably our two closest towns, Hanover and Gettysburg. So we need some regular volunteers, would be fantastic to help with the work, because there's a lot of work here.
Okay.
And then some people like to bring, instead of giving money, some people like to give, you know, donate a blanket, or donate some treats or toys, or, you know, things like that, which is always great. We have a wish list on Amazon that people like to buy tangible things,
Okay.
you know. So I guess that would be the biggest things, would be financially.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's what I'm looking for. I want
Yeah.
people to just think about it.
Yeah, it's easy to go to our website.
It
It should be pretty straightforward to find out ways to help.
Okay. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time, Cheryl. And I'm wondering, as we wrap up, is there anything else that comes to mind that either I should have asked or you wanted to just spend a little more time talking about?
You touched on it at the very opening, when you said that, you know, if you haven't met a donkey, you really need to. And I would just express that again for anybody out there listening. If you haven't met a donkey, you really need to, because they are the kindest, most gentle, loving, introspective beings on this planet. I mean, there is just nothing like a donkey. And so I would encourage everyone to try to get out there and spend time, be quiet, listen to them, and just be with them. And help educate and dispel the myths out there about them.
Okay.
So
Thank you. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I mean, one of my best animal memories is like a donkey that let me give him a big body. She let me give her a big body hug, and I'm like,
yeah,
this is good.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're great huggers.
There's my little bunny.
Oh.
So she's coming to say hi.
Oh,
Okay. Thank you so much, Cheryl.
sure.
I'll put information in when I get this up on people are watching this, hopefully at YouTube. I'll have more information for everybody so that they can check out your website and all that good stuff. All right.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.